stone tools, and fire. As soon as the earliest species related to humans figured out how to use those things, evolution entered a new stage that has never been seen before in life's 4.1 billion years history, as it marked the first time a species became able to use both extra limbs and extra energy. Now view the next 2 million years from the perspective of other life forms on the planet. Would they see humans as this army of cyborgs that keeps getting better extra limbs and better extra forms of energy over time? How would they view the period after the 18th century as this army of cyborgs exploded in number and in capability? Their extra limbs became much more powerful than ever before. All of this was made possible as this army of cyborgs became able to use extra energy that was originally produced in the core of the sun through nuclear fusion processes that eventually ended up as dead biological matter, of which the army of cyborgs used to fuel their extra limbs. How would they view today as this army of cyborgs completely overtook the planet, causing an extinction rate 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate? But to us, what would the future look like if we continued enhancing our extra limbs and extra forms of energy? What would be the ultimate limit? Now, rather than continuing this video as it is using the normal discussion format that I usually use, I've decided to use a storytelling approach that would show you, using a hard science fiction approach, what that future would look like. So with that said, here is one possible scenario out of many possible scenarios where humans could go and reach the ultimate limit. Enjoy. June 2016. More than 7 billion people live on Earth, with average living standards considered to be at some of the highest ever in human history. The highest rates of life expectancy ever observed, the lowest rates of extreme poverty, the lowest rates of undernourishment, the most peaceful time in the history of mankind. Breakthrough technologies that were seen as impossible before were progressing towards becoming a reality, progress that continued, at least for a while. June 2116. Global temperatures have risen considerably, reaching an average figure of 5 Celsius, a figure that was in line with projections 100 years ago. This increase in global temperatures came as a result of a natural chain reaction that was further fueled by the excessive usage by humans of a dwindling supply of concentrated biological matter that was made originally due to solar energy, which was produced through nuclear fusion processes at the core of the sun. Throughout this century, humans were forced to adapt to this energy supply that was getting more and more expensive. As time passed, renewable sources of energy became much more important to human society, but the effects of climate change in these past 100 years did not allow humans to consume as much energy as they did during their peak consumption. The combination of increased global average temperatures, rising sea levels, ocean acidity, extreme weather events, and various other consequences of climate change have made portions of Earth unusable in the worst cases and undesirable in the majority of cases. This has forced the global economy and the population to slowly shrink over time, and has caused the progress of technological development to slow down significantly as resources were redirected towards mitigating the damage caused by climate change. This trend continued for a few hundred years as humans slowly adopted a self-recycling economic system that depended on the available energy, which can be collected through renewable energy sources, until a breakthrough happened. After centuries of nuclear fusion research, a corporation was able to secure the funding and resources necessary through a multinational agreement and built the first commercially viable, fully functioning, positive 20-to-1 energy returned on energy invested nuclear fusion reactor. This breakthrough, which allowed humans to extract energy from matter the same way the sun does, has created a technological explosion that rivals that of the two industrial revolutions centuries ago. But there is one major difference. Living on a much hotter planet than before, humans have learned from previous experiences, and most countries now have the legislative framework needed to use this new energy source in a way that ensures that their self-recycling economic system continues not to create a major strain on Earth's environment. By 2746, humans have perfected energy generation through nuclear fusion, figuring out more ways to fuse elements with a positive energy returned on energy invested than just deuterium and tritium nuclear fusion processes. This, combined with other renewable energy sources, has allowed humans to depend completely on clean energy. Humans have also been able to create mobile non-lithium based batteries that can provide hundreds of times the energy provided by regular lithium batteries which existed 7 centuries ago. These were used in almost all applications: transportation, construction, manufacturing, and even medicine. Armed with this new, almost limitless supply of energy, humans have been able to modify their bodies to the extreme. Amputation of biological limbs and replacing them with much more powerful synthetic limbs was no longer undesirable. It became a societal norm. A few decades later, replacing organs with synthetic ones was made possible. This has extended the average human's lifespan by hundreds of years. But a new development was about to change what humans thought about their bodies forever. In the year 3122, a corporation released a beta version of their state-of-the-art device known as the Home. The device allowed users to directly link their consciousness to a virtual reality world. In this world, they can be anything and everything they ever want. They can adjust their senses, bodies, and even the way they experience this world. In that time, the corporation started introducing basic artificial intelligence to help run the virtual reality world and handle various system components. The corporation even became able to dilate time, allowing the users of the device to experience several hours inside the virtual world for every 1 hour passing in the outside world. During this time, humans engaged in a very fierce debate, not about them spending most of their time in a virtual reality world, but about the artificial intelligence entity that is helping run this world. Humans were too scared of the uncertainty this artificial intelligence brings. Will it continue to help humans, or will it not? In response to this, a method was developed to allow humans to control the components of the virtual reality world rather than relying on an artificial intelligence entity. The method discards the body of the human and integrates his brain directly into the virtual reality world. For this particular person, time dilates much more than any other user. This person's senses gets capabilities that are much more expanded than any other human. By the year 3204, almost all living humans were integrated within this virtual reality as post-humans. By the year 3225, to ensure that they would not lose their consciousness, the brains of almost all living inhabitants over a long period of time were gradually turned into objects that acted as the original brains, expanding the capabilities of the inhabitants even more. 20 years later, the idea of children was introduced. Any adult post-human was able to request the post-human government to create a child. This child did not have a real-world body, only an object that simulated its growing consciousness over time. With that final change, humanity was no longer interested in the outside world. For billions of years, society continued to live inside a virtual environment where the inhabitants are immortal. They can be anything and everything they ever want. During this time, post-humans did not limit themselves just to Earth. They expanded to every single suitable body in the solar system. Spaceships that had servers hosting other post-humans, powered by nuclear fusion, also slowly expanded to other star systems and galaxies at sub-light speeds over millions of years. Any colony that expands to another star system eventually built more spaceships and colonized even more star systems. After around 10 trillion years as low-mass red dwarf stars, the longest living stars in the universe, started dying out, post-human worlds were forced to use more and more positive energy fusionable matter to allow the servers that they were living in to continue running. As more and more time passed, more and more post-humans had to be shut down to conserve any energy that can be extracted from the remaining fusionable positive energy matter. Eventually, at some point, as energy became a very rare commodity, the last post-human in the universe starts losing consciousness and fades away.